This is a list of notable individuals affiliated with Tulane University, including alumni of non-matriculating and graduates, faculty, former faculty, and major benefactors. Some especially notable individuals also are listed in the main university article. Individuals are sorted by category and alphabetized within each category. For alumni, the degree and year of graduation are noted when available. Ian Bremmer, political scientist. Clarence Brooks, literary critic. Winston Chong, president of Soochow University. John R. Conniff, New Orleans and Baton Rouge educator, president of Louisiana Tech University 1926 to 1928. Light Townsend Cummins, Bryan professor of history at Austin College in Sherman, Texas and former official state historian of Texas. James H. Dillard, professor and early advocate for education of African Americans. Edward F. Fisher, M.A. and Ph.D., professor of anthropology at Vanderbilt University. James Mac Hyman, applied mathematician at Los Alamos National Laboratory in the United States. T.R. Kidder, archaeologist. Sang-Don Lee, South Korean legal scholar. John Mosier, historian. Frank Vandiver, Civil War scholar, acting president of Rice University 1969 to 1970, president of Texas A&M University 1981 to 1988. Linda Wilson, 1957, former president of Radcliffe College. Robert Ivy, CEO AIA. Albert C. Ledner, designer of national maritime buildings in New York City and many other commercial and residential projects. Edward F. Neild, architect of the Harry S. Truman Presidential Library and Museum and many buildings in his native Shreveport in Louisiana. Henry Hobson Richardson, inventor of Richardsonian Romanesque architecture. A. Haystown, architect. Brian Batt, B.A. 1985, actor. Les Blank, B.A. 1958, M.F.A. 1960, documentary filmmaker. Marshall Colt, class of 1970, psychologist and former actor. Doug Ellen, A&S 1990, television writer, director, creator of HBO series Entourage. Evan Farmer, actor. Paul Michael Glazer, B.A. 1966, actor, TV Starsky and Hutch. Carlin Glenn, NGN 61, actress, Tony Award winner. Lawrence Gordon, 1958, producer of popular films such as Predator and Die Hard. Karen Grassel, actress. Robert Harling, movie screenwriter, producer, and director. Courtney Hazlitt, A&S 99, columnist and celebrity correspondent for MSNBC. Jonathan Hensley, long, writer of Die Hard, With a Vengeance, Jumanji, Armageddon. Rick Hurst, actor, A&S 68. Lauren Hutton, 1964, actress, model. Anthony Jeselnik, comedian. Dave Jesser, A&S 2001, co-creator of Comedy Central's Drawn Together. Anthony Laciera, G79, actor. Christian LeBlanc, 1980, actor. Shannon Lee, daughter of martial arts legend Bruce Lee. Elise Luray, NC89, star of PBS History Detectives. Olga Mirdiz, NC78, actress. Linda Taylor Miller, 1976, actress. Enrique Murciano, TC95, actor, TVs Without a Trace. Ed Nelson, A&S 53, UC00, actor, paid in place. Bruce Paltrow, 1965, television and film producer. Meryl Poster, Academy Award-winning and Emmy-nominated producer. Michael Price, Emmy Award-winning writer and producer best known for his work on The Simpsons. Al Shea, actor and theater critic. Jerry Springer, B.A., 1965, talk show host and former mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio. Harold Sylvester, actor, director. Ian Terry, winner of the 14th season of Big Brother. John Gregory Brown, novelist, 1982. Amy Carter, G96, children's book author, daughter of former President Jimmy Carter. Rich Cohen, writer, 1990. Nicole Cooley, poet, Walt Whitman Award recipient. Peter Cooley, poet. Elsie Fortier, folklorist and recorder of the story of Brer Rabbit. Whitney Gaskell, Law 1997, novelist. Shirley Ann Brown, 1950, Pulitzer Prize-winning author. Jennifer Grotz, poet. N.K. Jemisin, science fiction and fantasy writer, 3-time Hugo Award recipient. Harnett Kane, class of 1931, author of Southern history, geography, culture, and fiction. John Reed, author, Snowball's Chance. John Kennedy Toole, B.A. 1958, author, Pulitzer Prize winner for A Confederacy of Dunces. D.D. Wilson, poet and author. Jordan Bratman, music marketer. Les Crane, pioneer in interactive broadcasting, co-creator of Pop Music Top 40. Hodaline de la Martinez, composer and conductor, first woman to conduct in a BBC Proms concert. John Doheny, jazz saxophonist, band leader, and historian. Scott Greenstein, ANS 81, president of SiriusXM Radio. Zachary Richard, ANS 72, Cajun singer, songwriter and poet. Emily Selliers, attended, singer. Sonia Tetlow, bass player in rock band Cowboy Mouth. Janice Torrey, lyricist of the song Paper Roses. Michael White, jazz historian and musician. Andrew Breitbart, 91, publisher and author. Harding Carter, journalist, Pulitzer Prize winner. Bessie Alexander Ficklin, 1861 to 1945, writer, poet, artist. Robert Leighton Green, magazine journalist. Ira B. Harkey Jr., Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. Nate Lee, B.A. 1978, writer, senior editor for Chicago's New City. Bill Monroe, ANS 42, broadcast journalist, former host of Meet the Press. Mike Sachs, editor, writer, 1990. Thomas Sankton, editor, writer, civil rights journalist, teacher, 1935. Howard K. Smith, television journalist. Lawrence Wright, author, Pulitzer Prize winner, and journalist. Linda Benglis, N64, sculptor. Mignon Fagot, Newcomb 1955, artist, jewelry designer. Mary Garrard, 1958, art historian. Brian Nash Gill, 1984, artist. Gary Russell Libby, art historian, curator, museum director. Sergio Rossetti Morosini, artist, conservator. Frank Rail, photographer. Mark Rothko, artist. Wendy Schneider, Newcomb 1977, artist, photographer. Hunt Slonim, B.A., 1973, artist. Meredith Stern, BFA 1998, artist. Cora Kelly Ward, painter. May Hyman Lesser, medical illustrator. Howard Scott Warshaw, video game programmer / designer and documentary filmmaker. Matt Battiata, CEO, real estate economics expert. Jeffrey Bean, fashion designer. Richard Brennan Sr., restaurateur, owner of Commander's Palace in New Orleans. Neil Bush, B.A., MBA, 1979, presidential brother, ex-savings and loan executive. Philip J. Carroll, M.S., 1961, former CEO, Shell Oil Company and Fluor Corporation. James H. Clark, founder of Silicon Graphics, Netscape, and WebMD. Charles E. Fenner, founder of Fenner & Bean, a forerunner of Merrill Lynch. David Filo, B.S. 1988, co-founder of Yahoo. Alfred Ford, great-grandson of Henry Ford. C. Jackson Grayson, professor at Harvard, Stanford, and Tulane, member of the Nixon cabinet. Thomas M. Humphrey, Ph.D. 1970, economist. Samuel Israel III, fraudulent hedge fund manager. Dean Lombardi, J.D., president and GM of the Los Angeles Kings. Peter McNamara, B.S. CEO, McNamara Enterprises underground casino and bookbroker. Ricardo Salinas Pliego, MBA, 1979, Forbes World's Richest People. Muhain Saserbate, Bosnian-American businessperson. Peter Schloss, Chief Executive Officer, Broadway Asia, Director, Giant Interactive, NYSE, GA. Aaron Selber Jr. BBA, 1950, businessman and philanthropist in Shreveport. Fred L. Smith, President and founder of Competitive Enterprise Institute. Paul Tulane, benefactor, philanthropist. Sam Zema, benefactor. Luis Guillermo Solis, MA 1981, President of Costa Rica. William L. Armstrong, B. 1958, former U.S. Representative and U.S. Senator from Colorado, President of Colorado Christian University, R. Howard Henry Baker, Jr., 1945, U.S. Senate Majority Leader, White House Chief of Staff, U.S. Ambassador to Japan, R. Hale Boggs, Law, 1937, U.S. Representative, 1941 to 1943, 1946 to 1972, House Majority Leader, D. Lindy Boggs, Newcomb, 1935, U.S. Representative, 1973 to 1991, Tulane Benefactor, U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See, 1997 to 2001, D. Edwin S. Broussard, U.S. Senator from Louisiana, D. Donaldson Caffrey, Law, U.S. Senator, 1892 to 1900, D. James Jimmy Domingo, Law, Lafayette Congressman and Cajun Cultural Spokesman, D. Alan J. Ellender, Law, 1913, U.S. Senator, Agriculture Committee Chair, D. Newt Gingrich, U.S. Representative, 1979 to 1998 and Speaker of the House, 1995 to 1998, R. Tim Griffin, L. 94, U.S. House of Representatives from Arkansas, R. Felix Edward Hebert, U.S. Representatives, 1940 to 1977, D. Bob Livingston, former U.S. Representative, 1977 to 1999, R. John H. Overton, Law, 1897, former U.S. Senator from Louisiana, D. Pedro Pierluisi, B.A., 1980, Puerto Rico's Member of Congress, D. Former Attorney General and President, New Party for Progress. Cedric Richmond, L. 98, U.S. House of Representatives from Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District, D. Jared Y. Sanders, Jr., U.S. Representative, D. Later States Rights Party. Luther Strange, B.A. 1975, Law, 1978, U.S. Senator from Alabama, 2017 to 2018, R. Gene Taylor, U.S. Representative, 1989 to 2011, D. R. David Vinner, Law, former U.S. Senator from Louisiana, 2005 to 2017, R. Newton C. Blanchard, former Governor of Louisiana, D. Murphy J. Foster Sr., Governor of Louisiana, D. Michael Hahn, Governor of Louisiana, D. Luther E. Hall, Governor of Louisiana, D. Alvin Olin King, former Governor of Louisiana, D. Richard W. Leche, former Governor of Louisiana, D. Huey Long, Law, former Governor of Louisiana, D. John McHenry, former Governor of Louisiana, D. Francis T. Nichols, Governor of Louisiana, D. Jared Y. Sanders Sr., former Governor of Louisiana, D. Oramel H. Simpson, former Governor of Louisiana, D. David C. Trian, former Governor of Louisiana, R. Bob Wise, Law, 1975, former Governor of West Virginia, D. Howard Henry Baker, Jr., 1945, U.S. Senate Majority Leader, White House Chief of Staff, U.S. Ambassador to Japan, R. Donald Ensinnett, Law, 1973, White House Chief of Protocol. Lisa P. Jackson, Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, D. 2009 to 2013. Stephen Douglas Johnson, AB 85, L 88, U.S. House Chief Counsel for Financial Institutions and Consumer Credit, 1995 to 98, and Bush White House Senior Advisor to the Office of Federal Housing Oversight, 2001-03. Howard Henry Baker, Jr., 1945, U.S. Senate Majority Leader, White House Chief of Staff, U.S. Ambassador to Japan, R. Lindy Boggs, Newcomb, 1935, U.S. Representative 1973 to 1991, Tulane Benefactor, D. U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See, 1997 to 2001. Christy Kenny, G. 79, U.S. Ambassador to Thailand, former Ambassador to the Philippines and Ecuador. John Jiffin Weinman, ANS 50, L 52, former U.S. Ambassador to Finland and Chief of Protocol in the White House. Clint Williamson, L 86, U.S. Ambassador at Large for War Crimes Issues, UN Envoy, White House Policy Official. Sidney Barthélemy, Mayor of New Orleans, D. Paul Capdeville, Long, Mayor of New Orleans. Sandra Frankel, Nate Applebaum, 1963, Arts and Sciences, former mayor of the town of Brighton, New York, D. Ray Nagin, MBA, 1994, mayor of New Orleans, D. Robert Pointachef, Law, former mayor of Columbus, Georgia, 2003 to 2007, R. Jerry Springer, BA, 1965, former mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio and television personality, T. Sems Walmsley, Law, mayor of New Orleans, D. Joseph Bowie Jr., Master of Social Work, member of the Louisiana House of Representatives for District 97 in Orleans Parish since 2014, D. Buddy Caldwell, Attorney General of Louisiana since 2008, former District Attorney in Tallulah, D. R. Philip Ciaccio, State Representative, New Orleans City Council Member, State Circuit Judge 1982 to 1998. John Elton Kuhn, State Representative from Ouachita Parish, Mayor of Monroe 1949 to 1956, and State Fire Marshal 1956 to 1964, D. Eddie Doucette, former State Representative for Jefferson Parish. Cameron Henry, member of Louisiana House, R. Adam Quasman, B.A. Economics 2003, member of Arizona House of Representatives District 11, 2014 candidate for U.S. Congress, R. Elwyn Nicholson, State Senator from Jefferson Parish 1972 to 1988, D. Karen Carter Peterson, State Representative and candidate for United States House of Representatives from Louisiana, D. Weldon Russell, State Representative from Tangipahoa and St. Helena Parishes 1984 to 1988, Realtor in Amite, D. Jock Scott, former State Representative from Alexandria, D. R. Scott M. Simon, Architect and State Representative, R. Eric Scametta, Attorney from Metairie, Louisiana, Republican member of the Louisiana Public Service Commission for District 1, R. Paul Spitz-Faden, B.A. 1957, Mayor of Mandeville, 1984 to 1996, R. Chris Ullo, member of both houses of the Louisiana Legislature 1972 to 2008, D. May Hyman Lesser, Medical Illustrator. Howard Scott Warshaw, video game programmer / designer and documentary filmmaker. Edward Douglas White Jr., Law, 1868, 9th Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, D. Edith Brown Clement, Law, Justice, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, R. William Tharp Cunningham, Preparatory Curriculum, Law, Judge of the 11th Judicial District in Natchitoches and Red River Parishes, member of the Louisiana House of Representatives 1908 to 1912, D. W. Eugene Davis, Law, 1960, Justice, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. John Malcolm Dewey Jr., Law, Justice, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, R. Martin Leach Cross Feldman, B.A. 1955, J.D. 1957 Federal Judge, R. Rufus E. Foster, Law, 1895, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. F. A. Little Jr., Class of 1958, former Judge of the United States District Court for the Western District of Louisiana, R. Angel Martin, Law, former Associate Justice of the Puerto Rico Supreme Court. Tucker L. Melanchon, Law, 1973, Justice, Fifth Circuit since 1994, D. Judge Henry Mentz, U.S. Federal District Judge 1982 to 2005. Mildred Methvin, Class of 1974, United States Magistrate Judge for the Western District of Louisiana 1983 to 2009, based in Lafayette, the Charles B. Petras, BBA 1963, Judge 1996 to 2011 of the Louisiana Second Circuit Court of Appeal in Shreveport, D. Bill Pryor, Law, 1987, Justice, U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, R. Christian Rose Lenas, 1857, Chief Justice, Louisiana Supreme Court, D. Alvin A. Schall, Law, 1969, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. Nauman S. Scott, one of the first Louisiana U.S. District Court judges to advocate desegregation, D. R. Elizabeth Weaver, Ann 62, Cal 65, Michigan Supreme Court Justice. Jacques Loeb Wiener, Justice, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Stephen J. Windhorst, B.A., Law, District Court Judge, former State Representative, R. John Minor Wisdom, Law, Judge, U.S. Court of Appeals 5th Circuit, R. Dean Andrews, Jr., attorney convicted of perjury by Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison. Sean M. Berkowitz, 1989, Chief Prosecutor, Enron Task Force. Terry Michael Duncan, lawyer killed in 1993 Russian constitutional crisis. William T. Zarilla, Law, 1981, international attorney and law clerk to U.S. Supreme Court Justice Byron White, 1982 to 1983. Jim Garrison, Law, New Orleans District Attorney, the Mark Kligman, J.D. 1995, sports agent and criminal lawyer. Jim Letten, L. 79, U.S. Attorney. Leander Perez, Law, Judge, and District Attorney of Plaquemines Parish in first half of 20th century, D. Ira Sorkin, B.A. 1965, attorney for Bernard Madoff. May Hyman Lesser, medical illustrator. Howard Scott Warshaw, video game programmer/designer and documentary filmmaker. John Eric Beckjord, paranormal investigator and photographer. Ruth Benarito, Newcomb alumna and inventor of wrinkle-free cotton. Wiley Glover Dennis, 1879 to 1929, Newcomb AB 1899, Tulane MA 1902. Biochemist, her appointment as assistant professor at Tulane Medical School has been identified as the first appointment of a woman as a faculty member of a major medical institution in the U.S. Anna Hepps, microbiologist, possibly the first African-American woman with a Ph.D. to lead a medical school. David Philo, B.S.C.E., co-founder of Yahoo. Kurt Mislow, 1944, professor of chemistry at Princeton University. Harold Rosen, B.S.E., 1947, engineer/inventor, famous for inventing the geostationary communications satellite. Dave Weiner, B.A., mathematics, 1976, weblog and RSS pioneer, former Harvard Law School Berkman Center for Internet and Society Fellow. A. Baldwin Wood, BSME, 1899, engineer and inventor of the wood screw pump, 1913, and the wood trash pump, 1915. Ilya Zhytomyrsky, 1989 to 2011, student, co-founder of the social network Diaspora. James Andrews, MD, orthopedic surgeon. Dale Archer, B.A., 1978, MD, doctor and television personality. Jim C. Barnett, physician and surgeon from Brookhaven, Mississippi, member of Mississippi House of Representatives 1992 to 2008. Charles C. Bass, MD, Tulane Medical School Dean 1922 to 1940, researcher in tropical medicine, inventor of modern dental floss. Regina Benjamin, MBA, 1991, U.S. Surgeon General under President Barack Obama, first African-American woman on the American Medical Association Board of Trustees. Gerald Berenson, B.S. 1943, M.D. 1945, heart researcher, preventive medicine pioneer and founder of the Bogalusa Heart Study. Cyril White Bowers, M.D., professor of medicine and medical researcher. George E. Birch, M.D., 1933, cardiologist. J. Cavanaugh, Ph.D., 1994, member of California State Board of Pharmacy 1980 to 90, director of American Alliance for Medical Cannabis, 2001. Wallace H. Clark Jr., B.S. 1944, M.D. 1947, pathologist, cancer researcher. Michael E. DeBakey, M.D., 1932, pioneer of modern medicine and recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal. E. Wesley Ely, B.S., 1985, M.Ph., 1989, M.D., 1989, physician researcher of delirium at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Thomas Farley, New York City Health Commissioner. Thomas Nunn James, M.D., 1949, Director, World Health Organization Cardiovascular Center. Ruth L. Kirschstein, M.D., 1951, Director, National Institutes of Health, for whom the Kirschstein NRSA grant program is named. Abraham L. Levin, M.D., 1907, inventor of the Levin tube, which is still used for duodenal drainage after surgery. Rudolph Mattis, M.D., 1880, father of vascular surgery. William Larimer Mellon Jr., M.D., M53, founder of Albert Schweitzer Hospital, Haiti. Jose Gilberto Montoya, founder of the Immunocompromised Host Service and works at the Positive Care Clinic at Stanford. Kelly Overton, activist. Imperato Pascal, MPH and TM, author. Luther Leonidas Terry, MD, 1935, U.S. Surgeon General 1961 to 1965, chair of the committee that produced Smoking and Health, report of the Advisory Committee to the Surgeon General of the United States. Paul Wehrle, physician who helped develop methods to prevent and treat polio and smallpox. Charles B. Wilson, pioneer in pituitary tumor treatment, Cushing Medal recipient. George K. Anderson, general in the United States Air Force. Wayne Downing, general in the U.S. Army. Douglas G. Hurley, NASA astronaut. John L. McLucas, G-43, Secretary of the Air Force. Rick Snyder, 84, Vice Admiral, U.S. Navy. William Souter, Law 1962, General, U.S. Army. Ted Westbrook, Captain, U.S. Navy. James C. Yarbrough, General in the U.S. Army. David H. Berger, 81, the 38th Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. Christina Maria Rantatana, MPH 97, Rear Admiral in the Indonesian Navy. Jorge Bolanos, son of Nicaraguan President Enrique Bolanos. Francis George, Ph.D., 1970, Cardinal Archbishop of Chicago. Michael Aubrey, baseball player. David Mark Berger, ANS 66, NCAA champion, member of 1972 Israeli Olympic weightlifting team. Jim Boyle, NFL offensive tackle. Bobby Brister, NGUC 85, former NFL quarterback. Bobby Brown, Medicine 1950, baseball player, president of the American League. Janelle Burris, basketball player in the WNBA. Chris Bush, 2004, NFL receiver. Andy Cannizaro, MLB shortstop and baseball All-American. Jerry Dalrymple, football All-American. Quincy Davis, 2006, naturalized Chinese Taipei men's national basketball team player. Jawan Dawson, 1999, NFL receiver. Bernal Gant, NFL linebacker. Corey Dowden, NFL defensive back. Barbara Ferris, UC 98, WNBA forward, New York Liberty. Steve Foley, football, quarterback in 1977 near undefeated season when Tulane beat LSU for the first time in 25 years. Matt Forte, NFL running back. Nolan Franz, NFL wide receiver. Lester Gatewood, NFL center. Tony Giarratano, MLB, Detroit Tigers. Fred Glodden, NFL player. Brandon Gomez, MLB, Tampa Bay Rays. Jim Gano, NFL linebacker. Ryan Grant, NFL wide receiver who is currently a free agent. Nicky Hall, football player. Ruffin Hamilton, NFL linebacker. Phil Hicks, NBA basketball player. Rodney Holman, 1981, NFL Pro Bowl tight end. Linton Johnson III, 2004, NBA player. Robert Kelly, NFL running back. Sean King, 1999, NFL quarterback. Dominic Kopfer, German tennis player. Troy Kopach, 2009 present, NFL lineman Tennessee Titans. Eric Loxo, 1976 Tulane Athlete of the Year, NFL offensive tackle. J.P. Losman, NFL quarterback. Seth Marler, B03, NFL kicker. Lonnie Martz, 1990, NFL linebacker 1991 to 2001. Tommy Mason, NFL running back. Max McGee, NFL wide receiver. Sylvester McGrew, NFL defensive end. Mule Moore, NFL running back. Ed Morgan, baseball player. Kevin Mahant, baseball player. Steve Mura, baseball player. Eddie Murray, UC 80, NFL kicker. Phil Nugent, football player. Micah Owings, MLB, Arizona Diamondbacks, Cincinnati Reds. Richie Petitbon, NFL player and coach. Eddie Price, football player. Patrick Ramsey, NFL quarterback. Ham Richardson, 1955, tennis player. Andy Sheets, baseball player. Joe Silipole, football player in the CFL, USFL, and NFL. Gerald Sowell, NFL running back. Mike Tannenbaum, former general manager, New York Jets, NFL. Eric Thomas, 1987, NFL defensive back 1987 to 1995. Michael Thompson, PGA Tour golfer. Paul Thompson, NBA player. Dalton Truax, NFL tackle, Oakland Raiders. Linda Tuero, tennis, winner of Italian Open. John Hot Rod Williams, NBA player. Roydell Williams, NFL wide receiver. Frank Wills, baseball player. Josh Sade, Major League Baseball pitcher. Akira Narimura, professor of endocrinology. William Woolley, professor of anthropology and environmental studies. Harry Blackmun, U.S. Supreme Court. David Bonderman, founder of TPG Capital. Elizabeth Hill Boone, professor of Latin American art history 1994. Christian M. Brady, Targumist. Ian Bremmer, political scientist. Stephen Breyer, U.S. Supreme Court, D. Douglas Brinkley, historian. William Kraft Brumfield, professor and historian of Russian art and architecture. Florian Cajori, historian. James Carville, political science. Alfred H. Clifford, mathematician. Harold Cummins, faculty 1919 to 1964, anatomist. Gordon G. Gallup Jr., faculty 1968 to 1975, developer of the mirror test for self-awareness, 1970. Kenneth W. Harle, historian. Melissa Harris Perry, former professor of political science and anchor for MSNBC. Helmut Otto Hofer, faculty 1965 to 1977, zoologist and comparative anatomist. Louis J. Ignarro, faculty 1973 to 1985, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 1998. Walter Isaacson, author and former CEO of CNN, member of the board of Tulane. T.R. Kidder, archaeologist. James A. Knight, M.D., former faculty, psychiatrist, theologian, and medical ethicist. Adrian Koch, historian. Ida Kohlmeyer, artist and associate on faculty, 1950s. John S. Kaiser, president of Northwestern State University 1954 to 1966, taught at Tulane in the early 1920s. Chris Lane, historian and author, Tulane University and University of Minnesota faculty. Robert K. Merton, sociologist, former head of the sociology department. Claire Messud, novelist. Alton Oxner, founder of Oxner Clinic, pioneer anti-smoking advocate. William Rehnquist, U.S. Supreme Court, R. John Leonard Riedel, faculty 1836 to 1865, microscopist, chemist, botanist, geologist, physician, inventor of the first practical mono-objective binocular microscope, 1851. Charles P. Rowland, historian of the American Civil War and the American South, professor at Tulane 1952 to 1970. Tom Sankton, journalist, musician, Andrew W. Mellon professor. Antonin Scalia, U.S. Supreme Court, R. Andrew V. Shalley, faculty 1962 to 2006, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 1977, French Legion of Honor. J. Lawrence Smith, chemist and inventor of the inverted microscope, 1850. Royal D. Sutkus, faculty 1950 to 1990, founder of the largest ichthyology collection in the world. Lewis Thomas, faculty 1948 to 1950, physician, researcher, and essayist. Frank J. Tipler, physicist and author. Jessamine Ward, novelist, two-time winner of the National Book Award for Fiction, 2011 and 2017.